Welcome back to Rare Coins Shop. If you enjoy hidden treasures, you're in the right place. First, we're uncovering coins that could be worth way more than you think. New here? Like, subscribe, and let's dive in. We're diving into a coin that's not only historical but could also be worth a small fortune, if you know what to look for. We're talking about the US Liberty 1-cent coin from 1966. It may seem like a simple penny, but this particular year holds secrets that could make it one of the most valuable coins in your collection. Stick around to discover why this penny could be worth much more than its face value, and by the end of the video, you'll be blown away by how much it could fetch. So, let's set the stage. It's 1966, and the United States was in the midst of the 1960s coinage crisis. The US government had been dealing with a shortage of silver in its coins, and the mint was trying to figure out how to deal with inflation, production costs, and a growing demand for currency. The Liberty 1-cent coin, which we know and love as the penny, was undergoing some changes during this time. The 1966 Liberty 1-cent coin is from a period when the US Mint was transitioning from the use of silver to more copper-based alloys. By 1965, the US Mint stopped using silver in most of its coinage, and the penny was no exception. The 1966 penny was made from copper-coated zinc, which was cheaper to produce but still carried a lot of historical significance. But what makes the 1966 penny such an important piece for collectors? Well, it's not just about the metal or the date, it's about rarity, condition, and unique features. While the regular 1966 pennies were produced in relatively large quantities, it's the misprints and minting errors that make certain examples highly valuable. Let's talk about rarity first. Most of the 1966 pennies that were circulated during this time are in average condition. They've been used in everyday transactions, have likely been in people's wallets, and are often worn down. These pennies, while still holding some historical significance, aren't going to fetch you a lot of money in the market. But the key is finding one that's in unblemished, mint condition. Uncirculated coins are extremely valuable because they've been preserved perfectly since their minting and show no signs of wear. And this is where the 1966 penny starts to shine in the eyes of collectors. But here's where things get really interesting: mint errors. In the world of coin collecting, errors are gold mines. A coin that's been misstruck, off-center, or has some other kind of unique characteristic is highly coveted because it's considered a one-of-a-kind specimen. For example, some of the 1966 pennies were accidentally struck with a double die obverse, where the image on the front of the coin, the profile of Abraham Lincoln, appears twice or doubled. This type of error, although rare, makes these coins incredibly valuable. The more significant the error, the more desirable the coin becomes to collectors. Another reason the 1966 penny is worth so much has to do with the historical context. Coins that were produced during times of economic uncertainty, like the mid-1960s, are often more valuable to collectors because they tell a story of a changing era. These pennies were minted at a time when the US government was grappling with rising costs and inflation. They are a snapshot of a very unique period in American history, and that's what makes them more than just currency. They're pieces of history. So, how much could your 1966 Liberty 1-cent coin be worth? Well, the value depends entirely on its condition and rarity. A standard 1966 penny in circulated condition is generally worth just a few cents, maybe $1 or $2 if it's in exceptionally good shape. However, when you get a 1966 penny that's uncirculated and in near-perfect condition, or better yet, one with a mint error, that's when the real magic happens. For instance, a 1966 penny that features a double die obverse error could easily fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. But what if I told you that a 1966 penny in perfect, uncirculated condition with a rare error could be worth much more? That's right. A 1966 Liberty 1-cent coin in pristine condition, especially one with a rare minting error, could sell for an astounding $140,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single 1966 penny, in mint condition or with a rare mint error, could be worth $140,000. The rarity, condition, and historical significance of this coin make it an absolute gem for collectors, and it's no wonder that these pennies have been selling for top dollar in recent years. So, how do you know if you've got a valuable 1966 penny in your collection? The first step is to check the coin's condition. Look for signs of wear, scratches, or discoloration. Coins in mint state have sharp details, no signs of use, and retain their original luster. If you suspect your penny may have an error, take it to a professional numismatist or coin dealer to have it evaluated. Sometimes, an expert eye can identify things you might have missed. In the world of coin collecting, the 1966 Liberty 1-cent coin is a great example of how a seemingly ordinary coin can hold incredible value. It's not just about the age or the metal, sometimes it's the condition and the rarity that can turn a simple penny into a small fortune. If you've got a 1966 penny in your collection, it's definitely worth taking a closer look. It could be your ticket to a treasure trove of value. And who knows? Maybe you're holding onto a coin worth $140,000. Second rare coin, we're talking about the 1971 Liberty 1-cent coin, a coin that holds incredible value for collectors who know where to look. You might be wondering, why is a penny from 1971 so important? After all, pennies are one of the most commonly circulated coins in the United States. Well, the 1971 penny is one of those coins that has a unique twist to it, a twist that's caught the attention of collectors and has made it one of the most sought-after coins from that year. The 1971 Liberty 1-cent coin was minted during a time of economic transition in the United States. The country was coming out of the 1960s, which were filled with social and political change, and entering into a new decade with their own set of challenges and transformations. The 1971 penny itself was struck in the midst of a shift in coinage composition. This was part of the year when the U.S. government was making adjustments to its currency, moving away from silver-based alloys and towards copper and zinc mixtures for most coins. For collectors, this small shift in material has contributed to some subtle but fascinating variations in the coins produced during this period. The 1971 penny specifically was minted at the Denver Mint, and this is where things start to get interesting. Although the 1971 Liberty 1-cent coin seems like a typical penny, it stands out for a very specific reason that makes it highly coveted among numismatists and collectors: the potential for rare mint errors. Coin errors happen when there are flaws in the minting process, and it's these mistakes that make certain coins incredibly valuable. With that in mind, let's dive into what makes these errors so important. One of the most interesting errors associated with the 1971 penny is the double die obverse error. If you're new to the world of coin collecting, you might not be familiar with what that means, but don't worry, I'll explain. A double die error occurs when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned during the production process, causing the design to be doubled. This results in an image that looks as if it has been stamped twice, with two distinct images appearing side by side. On the 1971 penny, this error can cause the Liberty word and the date to appear as if they've been struck more than once. For collectors, these double die errors are like finding a hidden treasure. They're rare and make the coin extremely valuable. Imagine finding a coin that was struck twice with the word Liberty and the year 1971. This is exactly the kind of rare mistake that has made the 1971 Liberty 1-cent coin a highly prized piece in the world of numismatics. However, it's not just any 1971 penny that will fetch top dollar. The condition of the coin plays a major role in determining its value. If you find a double die 1971 penny that is uncirculated, meaning it has been preserved in pristine condition since it was minted, the value of that coin skyrockets. Coins that have been well preserved are much more valuable because collectors prize coins that have sharp details and no signs of wear. Over time, the most common 1971 pennies have experienced some level of damage, so finding one in perfect condition can really set a coin apart. But why is this specific 1971 penny so special, you may ask? Let's look at the historical context. The 1971 penny represents a turning point in American currency. It was produced in a time of change, and it was one of the last few years where certain design features on coins began to evolve. Coins like the 1971 Liberty 1-cent coin are now seen as pieces of history that collectors want to own. These coins weren't just currency, they were a reflection of the time they were produced, and that makes them all the more valuable. Now, I know you're probably asking the most important question: how much is this coin really worth? Well, like I mentioned earlier, the value of a coin is heavily influenced by its rarity and condition, especially when it comes to mint errors like the double die. While a typical 1971 D penny may only be worth a few cents, one in mint condition with a double die error can sell for thousands of dollars. In fact, the rarest and most well-preserved examples of the 1971 D Liberty 1-cent coin have been known to sell for amazing prices at auction. Now, for the big reveal: if you've got a 1971 D penny in your collection, and it's in pristine condition, especially if it's a double die error, it could be worth as much as $70,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single 1971 D penny in perfect condition with a double die error has sold for $70,000 at auction. That's a huge amount of money for a coin that many people overlook at first glance. This coin is a hidden treasure in the world of numismatics, and finding one can make any coin collector's dream come true. So, if you happen to have a 1971 D Liberty 1-cent coin lying around, it might be time to take a closer look. Check the condition carefully, and keep an eye out for double die errors or other unique features. Who knows, you could be sitting on a rare find worth tens of thousands of dollars. Third expensive coin: we're diving into the fascinating world of the 1981 Liberty 1-cent coin. At first glance, it may seem like just another penny, but believe me, there's more to this coin than meets the eye. Stick with us as we explore the hidden value behind this seemingly humble coin and how it could be worth a small fortune if you've got the right one. Let's start with a bit of background. The 1981 Liberty 1-cent coin was minted during a period of economic stability in the United States. The early 80s were marked by President Ronald Reagan's administration, which was focused on recovering from the financial turmoil of the 1970s, including high inflation and economic instability. The penny, as we know it, was still made of copper-coated zinc, a material introduced in 1982, but in 1981, these pennies were struck in copper, which was still the norm before the switch. However, unlike many of the other common pennies from that era, the 1981 penny has become one of the most intriguing coins for collectors. While most 1981 pennies you find in circulation are relatively unremarkable, it's the rare examples of the coin that hold incredible potential. You might be thinking, it's just a penny, right? Well, let me tell you, it's far more than that. The key to its value lies in the rarity and condition of the coin, as well as minting errors that can transform an otherwise regular coin into a highly sought-after treasure. One of the reasons the 1981 penny stands out is because of the variations in minting that occurred during that time. The United States Mint produces millions of pennies every year, and with that many coins, the possibility for errors and misprints is high. When it comes to the 1981 penny, there are a few significant features collectors are looking for that could drastically increase the coin's value. One of the most notable errors to look out for in the 1981 penny is the double die obverse. If you're not familiar with what a double die error is, don't worry, I'll break it down for you. A double die happens when the coin's design is mistakenly struck more than once, resulting in double images or misaligned text on the coin. For the 1981 penny, this could mean that the word Liberty or the year 1981 might appear doubled or distorted. This is a major red flag for collectors, as these minting errors are rare and highly desirable in the market. Now, let's talk about the condition of the coin. Like all rare coins, the condition is key. A 1981 penny that's been circulated and is heavily worn is not likely to fetch a high price. However, if you're lucky enough to have an uncirculated 1981 penny, a coin that's been kept in pristine condition since it left the mint, then you're in for a treat. Coins like these are extremely rare and highly prized by collectors because they retain all their sharp details, lustrous shine, and original features. The 1981 penny was minted in large quantities, so most of them you come across in everyday circulation are nothing special. But the few that were saved in mint condition or feature minting errors can become some of the most valuable pieces in your collection. Coins in uncirculated condition can command a significant premium because they haven't been damaged by circulation, wear, or handling. Now, here's where the excitement really kicks in. If you happen to own a 1981 penny in excellent condition or one with a double die obverse error, you could be sitting on a goldmine. But just how much could it be worth, if your 1981 Liberty 1-cent coin is in uncirculated condition or has that coveted minting error? It could sell for a stunning amount at auction. Collectors are willing to pay top dollar for these rare examples. In fact, a perfectly preserved 1981 penny, especially one with a double die error, could be worth an impressive $90,000, that's right, $90,000 for a single 1981 penny. It may sound unbelievable, but this is the kind of money that can change your life. And it's all because of that unique error or pristine condition that sets this coin apart from the others. Now, you're probably thinking, how do I know if I've got one of these rare 1981 pennies? Well, the first thing you should do is inspect the coin carefully. Look at the text, especially the word Liberty and the date. Are there any signs of doubling? If you see anything unusual, you may have found a coin that could be worth far more than its face value. If you're unsure, you can always take your coin to a professional numismatist or a coin dealer for evaluation. They can help you determine if your 1981 penny has any minting errors or if it's in good enough condition to fetch a high price. As with all rare coins, the 1981 penny is a reminder of how small details and historical context can dramatically increase the value of a coin. It's not just about the year, the design, or the metal, it's about finding that hidden gem that others have overlooked. So, if you've got a 1981 penny in your collection, it's time to give it a closer look. With its unique history, minting errors, and potential for incredible value, this coin is far more than just pocket change. If you found today's video informative and fun, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on more exciting coin discoveries. Also, if you have a 1981 penny or any other rare coins, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear about your finds and help you learn more about their value. Until next time, keep hunting for those hidden treasures, and happy collecting.